When wannabe dictators call the press the enemy of the people, it can get dangerous for reporters. It certainly did for Maggie when she did an exposé on small-town political corruption.
Hold the elevator, Maggie. We told you to stop giving us bad press, but you didn't listen, did you? This is your final warning. Got it?
She got it. Maggie heeded the warning and quit. Unsurprisingly, the hedge fund that bought the Hartsville Herald cut even more staff, leaving the paper with no investigative journalists to cover corruption, or for capturing the fun of a downtown concert. So, I'll be doing both. And more. We also want to have fun, fundamental human rights, and that includes freedom of the press. Without a local newspaper committed to exposing uncomfortable truths, Hartsville's corrupt politicians think they've won. They haven't. I've got matches in my pocket and brand new boots on my feet. And I'm gonna burn their fiefdom down. Justine Hunter reporting live from the Foundry Plaza. There was something different about her hair. It wasn't her usual pull it back and pin it up, go to work as a barista style. It was far more intricate than anything I've ever seen her wear. She thanked me when I complimented her, but kinda shrugged me off with a smile when I asked her, what's the special occasion? Elizabeth? But she's not the only one. A couple of others had their own uniquely different, intricately woven hairstyles too. But it's this mystery woman who'd been peacefully sipping her hot chocolate alone that led me to believe there was more than just the Hartsville Festival of Lights going on. I followed her out, but I was greeted by a dancing snowflake, and she was nowhere to be seen. With the crowd gathering for the festivities, I wasn't likely to find her again either. I got the distinct impression there were others looking for her too, who didn't seem especially friendly. As an investigative journalist, I'm hypervigilant for things like this, but I doubt anyone else in the crowd noticed. They were focused on making happy Christmas memories.
Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why your joyous strains prolong?
And this was the perfect night for doing just that. It was the night of the tree lighting ceremony, where family and friends joined together to cheer on Rudolph as he led the countdown for the tree to be lit. Back at the coffee shop, the ball cap brigade confirmed my suspicions. They were, indeed, looking for the braided mystery woman. Fortunately, the braided baristas were too busy to get harassed by them. So I went back outside, hoping the ball cap boys hadn't noticed me eavesdropping on their conversation. It was still crowded around the Christmas tree, but some folks were starting to weave their way through and head home. Others were taking Christmas card pictures, while the rest waited patiently for the crowd to thin out and make room for them to leave. As the crowd dwindled, so did the possibility of finding the braided mystery woman. It was as if she disappeared into thin air. Some of the kids danced off their sugar highs on the way to the parking lot. Some puppies were a little on edge. And the ball cap boys called it a night. But the questions remain. Why were the baristas wearing the braids? Who was the mystery woman that visited them? Why were the ball cap boys after her? Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm gonna fiddle around and find out. I keep coming back to Feel Love Coffee as I try to solve the mystery of the braided baristas. So do the ball cap boys. But, while they harass the baristas who wore the mysterious braids at the Festival of Lights, I've discovered the equally mysterious mountain man who did them. They call him Benjanardo, and he occasionally comes to town to access Wi-Fi. While he'd rather be in the mountains, he does have a fondness for downtown Hartsville. The ball cap brigade, however, does not have a fondness for him. The baristas continue to be coy about the braids, which is a bit frustrating for this investigative journalist. But, at least the ball cap boys are being shut out too. So, rather than continuing to annoy the baristas like the ball cap brigade does, I turned my focus to Benjanardo. His real name is Benjamin Carver and he's a licensed cosmetologist, so him doing the braids makes sense. But why these particular braids, at this particular time? Does the intricacy of their design mean anything? What's their significance, and why is the ball cap brigade so interested? Out on the streets, the holiday festivities continued.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Benjanardo, however, did not. At least not for Christmas. The ball cap boys, on the other hand, pop up everywhere I go. I've learned a lot eavesdropping on their conversations, but not much of it has been about Benjanardo or the braids. It's been mostly about local politics, so I decided to take a trip to a city council meeting. It didn't take long to find them in the lobby with its standing room only crowd. This ball cap boy refused to leave when the fire marshal sent everyone without a seat to an adjacent room. For some reason, the police decided not to remove him. He continued to lurk menacingly by the stairs, alternating between staring into the council chambers and glaring at the crowd. All while operating two separate phones. Once the vote went his way, he disappeared, leaving most of the lobby crowd milling around unhappily at the council's decision. And leaving me even more puzzled about the ball cap boys. Who are they? What are they after? Why do they seem to have so much power in this town? The seemingly innocuous mystery that started with the braided baristas appears to be taking a far more sinister turn. In the season that's supposed to be about love and joy and peace on earth, there's a dark undercurrent seeping to the surface here in Hartsville. And it's the ball cap boys who've bubbled up. So, while I'd rather sit around and enjoy the music like everyone else, I can't ignore the threat the ball cap brigade brings to Hartsville. It is, after all, a part of my job to expose the corruption, and I will continue to do just that. This is Justine Hunter reporting from downtown Hartsville. With Benjanardo disappearing somewhere in the mountains, I've had to shift my focus almost completely to the ball cap brigade, especially since the baristas aren't wearing Benjanardo's braids anymore. And the ball cap boys have seemed to lose interest in those braids now that Benjanardo's gone, which is good for the baristas at least. So, while I'm keeping my eyes open for the next time Benjanardo's braids appear, I'm kind of at a dead end with them for now, leaving me no choice but to dive into the dark undercurrent being brought to the surface by the ball cap brigade, an undercurrent which reeks of fear and intimidation. An undercurrent that threatens to destroy our community and everything that makes Hartsville special. I had no idea how deep this undercurrent ran when I first encountered the ball cap boys at the Festival of Lights. But when my last video about the city council meeting elicited a number of threats from an especially angry ball cap boy, I decided to take a closer look. I discovered he's part of a secretive group that goes to public meetings to collect images of those they identify as political enemies. At this point, I can only speculate, but based on his threats, it appears they plan to target these individuals and silence them, including me. The closer we get to the truth about the ball cap boys, the more dangerous it's becoming to investigate them. So, I decided to take a trip to a nearby mountain town to see if I could get any leads on Benjanardo. Since the ball cap brigade seems to see him as an enemy, and he might have some insights on how to reduce my risks around them. Unfortunately, I just missed him in his favorite coffee shop there. But he'd left a book. A book that shed some light on the Baristas' braids I'd seen in Hartsville. Titled Skywater Bridge, it's his sketch diary from decades ago, when he was recreating an ancient system of braiding to empower women. From beauty baskets, to power plates, to water weaves, Benjanardo explains how each category of braids is used to help women maximize their feminine power. A power America's angry theocrats are hellbent on destroying. That alone could explain why the misogynistic ball cap boys hate him, and why they were looking for the braided mystery woman at the Festival of Lights. But I suspect their animosity toward him has more to do with him coming from a time where he and other real patriots fought Nazis, unlike today's pretend patriots who empower them. Or maybe it's just because Benjanardo's masculinity isn't threatened by smart, powerful, feminine women the way theirs is. Whatever the case, locals here say, Benjanardo clearly prefers hanging around a murder of crows than supporters of a cop-killing mob of insurrectionists, now pardoned for their crimes, making me even more interested in interviewing him. Especially since those same sources told me he was on the front lines fighting Nazis in World War II, which would make him more than 100 years old. Although the barista who'd serve him that morning said he looks closer to half his age. I didn't get to talk to Benjanardo on that trip, but surprisingly, I still got what I needed from him. For example, as I walked along the river, contemplating the contents of his book, I experienced an unexpected calmness. Yes, I realize, it's probably silly to find hope in a book about braids that may or may not work to empower women, but I do. And while his poetic metaphor there, saying Father Sky would neither exist, nor be necessary without Mother Earth, may be cringy romanticism to some, it resonated for me. I was also encouraged by Benjanardo choosing to be with birds and animals, instead of being around toxic humans. It was a reminder of the importance of setting healthy boundaries. After all, even deer know better than to get chummy with predators. So should we.
You're a Justine Hunter?
Yes, but you can't tell anyone.
Why not?
It could get me killed.
Seriously?
That's why we're using an alias.
In someone else's voice?
To protect the team.
What team?
The team of investigative journalists.
Do I know anybody else on this team?
I've already said too much. We should get out of here. Yeah, they're everywhere.
We were now 43. Our comrades we buried each morning. In our own slime we were lost for a time of an endless night without dawning. And whoa, I wish I was back home in Derry.
I think that's the guy who's been following me all week. One way to find out.
Van Diemen's land is hell for a man to live out his whole life in slavery, where the climate is wrong and the gun makes the law. Neither wind nor rain care for bravery.
Shit. Yeah, I've been outed. I don't know, maybe they saw me chasing a story and figured it out. Either way, things just got a lot more dangerous. Okay, let me check. This is the woman behind the Justine Hunter videos. Her real name is Mia Reynolds. I put her address in the comments. You know what to do. Yeah, they've been doxing me all week on social media. We're gonna have to shut down the Justine Hunter project.
Hartsville is a fictional video comic series, but real-world events and beings do inspire the story. Pieces of real personalities, both heroic and villainous, have found their way into the fictitious ones here. If you see yourself in any of them, let's hope it's the heroic. If not, perhaps it's time for some serious introspection.